the Bible speaks me. There is a blessing in store for you.
Amen.
Don't worry. Blessing is there for you.
Amen.
If it was only one person on this earth, Christ would have died.
Amen.
This week we have a very interesting lesson study. It focuses on the law. What I'm going to do, I'm going to point out some high points in the law coming to this earth. Not the law itself, nor the Ark of the Covenant. Yeah, I'm going to mention that, but and I won't be long. I will let the Bible speak for itself. I could go on and just tell you what I've read, but let the Bible speak for itself. Our first text will be coming from Exodus chapter 19, verses 10 to 13. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go unto the people and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes, and be ready against the third day. For the third day the Lord will come down in the sight of all people upon Mount Sinai. And thou shalt set bounds unto the people round about, saying, Take heed to yourself, that ye go not up into the mount, or touch the border of it. Whosoever touch the mount shall be surely put to death. There shall not an hand touch it, but it shall surely be stoned, or shot through, whether it be beast or man, it shall not live. When the trumpet soundeth long, they shall come up to the mount. This is the first step. The Lord is telling Moses, tell the people to sanctify themselves and prepare their clothes. What do we know that clothes in the Bible represent? Our garment. What it represent? Righteousness. Thank you. So here they have to sanctify themselves, prepare themselves, and come to the mount. So now he gave this instruction: do not touch the mountain. If it is an animal come there, do not touch it. You are going to die. We are going to stone it, or going to shot it through. So the first one is we are to be ready. I want the first one to be ready. The next one, God himself came down in person. Let's read Deuteronomy chapter 33 and verse 2. And he said, The Lord came from Sinai and rose up from Seir unto them. He shined forth from Mount Paran, and he came with 10,000s of saints from his right hand with a fiery law for them. So this is another point. The Lord came down, and he did not come by himself. He came with 10,000s of saints, 10,000s of angels up there. And he wrote with fiery law. In other words, fire. Wrote it in fiery thing. So here you see that he wasn't by himself. All these are seen with these lasting thing to make an impression upon those that witness it, to make an impression upon their mind that they will not forget. I always say to myself, I wish I was in back then to see these things and to be holy. Can you imagine to hear God speaking from up there and see nothing? It's like, to me the whole scene is so holy and just, I would love to witness something like that. I would really do love to witness it. So he came with 10,000 of angels. He came down with these. And he wrote it in a fiery thing. Let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 11 to 13. And he came down near and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire unto the midst of heaven, with darkness, cloud, and thick darkness. And the Lord spake unto you out of the midst of the fire. He heard the voice of the word, but saw no similitude. Only he heard the voice. And he declared unto you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even the 10 commandments. And he wrote them upon 2 tables of stones. So here we see that what happened, this was a scene brought down. He came down, the mountain quake, The mountain burned with fire, darkness, cloud. I mean, thick darkness. That is scene that happened before the Lord gave out the thing. And what he did, he spoke it. You could not see him. You see the darkness, so you can imagine the Lord was appealing to these senses. You see the darkness, that one of your senses gone. You heard it, another sense is gone. And he also have the scene that really happened. And these things was to leave a lasting impression upon their mind. And he spoke the 10 Commandments, and he wrote it with his 10 finger. That's it. He wrote it in his 10 finger, and you hear it. And let's look at Deuteronomy 4, verse 13. Let me see what that one says. And he declared unto you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even the 10 Commandments, and he wrote them with 2 tables of stone. So here again we see, he performed it, he wrote them on 2 tables of stone, the 10 Commandments. Exodus 31 and verse 18. And he gave unto Moses, when he had commanded an end of communion with him upon Mount Sinai, two testimony, tables of stone written with the fingers of God. So another word that they call the commandment is covenant, or tables of testimony. It's referring to the same thing. So here we see the Lord gave that unto Moses. And let's look at Exodus 34 and verse 1. And the Lord said unto Moses, you these 2 tables of stone like unto the first, and I will write upon these tables the word that were written in the first table, which thou breakest. In other words, Moses, cut them out again. Let me do it again, just like the first one. The one that you broke, I'm going to do it again. So the Lord wrote it twice. He did this. We have no reason, no excuse when we see so much things happen. When he appeared the second time to Moses, and Exodus chapter 19, let's look at verse 16 to 19. And it came to pass on the 3rd day in the morning, remember, they were to sanctify themselves, clean up themselves, because the Lord is coming on the 3rd day, right? And it came to pass on the 3rd day in the morning that there were thunder and lightning. Thunder and lightning, and you out there. And imagine thunder and lightning and no rain falling too, right? And a thick cloud upon the mount. So here again we see this cloud on the mount. And the voice of the trumpet exceedingly loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled. Can you imagine that? The Lord's voice sounded like a trumpet, that people started to tremble. I don't know if you have ever been in a situation or ever experienced anything where you tremble. But when a person really trembles, like joints out of waka, you tremble. You have no control over it, your body shaking. And Moses brought forth the people out of the camp, and they stood at the nether part of the mount. And Mount Sinai was altogether on smoke, because the Lord descended upon it in fire. And the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace, like furnace when you're burning that thing there. And the whole mount quaked greatly. So not only that, the mountain now was shaking, fire on top, smoke. No wonder why they tremble. That must be a scene indeed. But why is the Lord doing that? That you will never forget that. You will never, that leave an impression upon your mind. This is God speaking now, this is not Moses. And the voice of the trumpet sounded long and waxed louder and louder. Moses spake, and God answered him with a voice. Just can you imagine now God speaking and Moses answered? That must be a nice part right here. As I was thinking about this, I think, but remember when Moses was born, he was a special child, The mother saw something special in Moses. So when they say kill all them children, not Moses. Moses is a special child. The Lord had a purpose for Moses, a work cut out for him. So even in the midst of this, I don't think Moses was trembling like the rest of them. Because Moses was speaking back to God. Moses has a relationship with God. And every one of us will have a relationship with God also, especially as we are living in this time of the end. So in this natural phenomena, we see thunder and lightning, thick cloud, voice sounded like trumpet, that the people trembled, the mountain quaked, there was smoke like furnace, and yes, and the mountain did show. They will not forget this. There are some impressions that the Lord leave upon this earth that He don't expect anyone to forget it. When I think back on the Ark of the Covenant, remember the Ark of the Covenant? The Ark of the Covenant, when it was going through Jordan, it was commanded that they should pick up 12 stones, one from each tribe, to lay it upon the mount and lay it upon the dwelling place there. Can you imagine what was that for? When they're going through the river, the ark going, and they must pick up 12. Where you have this nice clean place and 12 stones, big stone, the Bible said they should carry it on their shoulder, was laid on there. What would this for? They carry it across and leave it there. So that when their children and their whenever they come along and ask, what is that for? Then they can tell them the whole history of the here in the cloud and the mountain. They can give them the whole thing. The thing is that when a child or even adult asks from curiosity, they will remember better than when I just get up and start to tell them. So when they look at that, what's that? And you tell them it's sticking in their mind better. Another thing that was curious too was also the ashes when the children of Israel were supposed to remember. It have 3 apartments, and the most holy and what's the name of that? Huh?
The courtyard.
Yeah, right, in the courtyard. Thank you. In the courtyard, they're supposed to pile up that ashes there. So when people come, they'll ask questions. The little children ask questions. So can you imagine you have a well-clean place and then you have all this acid shown on top. It drew attention and then it will stick with them better. And that is the same way the Lord wants this thing. Draw attention to it so the people remember these 10 commandments. I don't know why they forget it and they were all trembling. The trembling alone will help me to remember that. I don't know why they forget. Alright, so I read Exodus 19, 10 and 11 where I said the garment that they were supposed to sanctify themselves representing the cleansing, like the Day of Atonement. Cleanse your mind, purify yourself as much as possible, right? Let's look at this one. Deuteronomy chapter 10, I'll zoom it there. Deuteronomy chapter 10 verse 1 to 5. At that time the Lord said unto me, hew thee 2 tables of stone, like unto the first, and come up unto me unto the mount, and make thee an ark of wood. And I will write on the tables the words that were in the first table, which thou breakest, and thou shalt put them in the ark. And I will make an ark of shittim wood, and hewn 2 tables of stone like unto the first, and went up into the mount, having the 2 tables in my hand. And he wrote on the tables, according to the first writing, the commandment, which the Lord spoke unto you in the mount of the midst of the fire, in the day of the assembly, and the Lord gave them unto me. And I turned myself and came down from the mount, and put the tables in the ark, which I had made, and there they be also the commandment of God. So here again we see the 10 commandments were placed in the ark. So even though it was written, there was a resting place for it, and it also called the Ark of the Covenant, because these 10 commandments, they are covenant between us and God. It is a sign, it's a covenant. Let's look at Deuteronomy 4, verse 13. And he declared unto you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even the 10 commandments. And he wrote them upon the 2 tables of stone. So the commandment is also called the covenant. Alright, which is God's so-called the testimony. I'm on the two last verses, two last texts. Alright, Exodus 25 verse 16. Exodus 25 verse 16, and thou shalt put unto the heart the testimony which I shall give thee. So here again we see that the 10 Commandments is also called the testimony. Called the covenant and it's called the testimony. And my last one is Exodus 31 verse 80. Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations, for a perpetual covenant. It is a covenant, it is a testimony, and it is there for us, not only for them but for us. Today you hear a lot of people talking about on the internet, they have found the Ark of the Covenant. Whether it is so, yes or no, I'm asking, if they find it, what will they do? The children of Israel allow them to hide it. So, Cinnamon find it. We are so greedy. We know that it was overladen with gold and built with gold. I'm going to read from Prophets and Kings, chapter 37, from Prophet on page 453, where the Ark of the Covenant is. Among the righteous still in Jerusalem, to whom had been made plain the divine purpose, were some who were determined to place beyond the reach of ruthless hands the sacred ark containing the tables of stones on which had been traced the precept of the Decalogue. So righteous men in Jerusalem got hold of it. This they did with mourning and sadness. They secreted the ark in a cave, where it was to be hid from the people of Israel and Judah because of their sins, and was not to be no more restored to them. That sacred ark is yet hidden. It has never been disturbed since it was secreted. And this is coming from Prophet and King. They hide it from the children of Israel and from Judah. Why? Because of their sins. When those righteous people hide it, they hide it in mourning and sadness. They heard from God everything that took place. But if that is being restored, I believe is to help pull people to God. That's what they say, friends. There's so much information going around that we just have to pray and ask God what is true. But may God help us from day to day that we take into mind that these 10 Commandments is really given in, not by God himself, but the angels were there, the children of Israel, all of them bore witness of this being given around the mountain. They were not even supposed to come near and touch the mountain, or else they would be dead. So may the Lord help us to take this thing. If the Lord take it so serious, why should we take it that serious? We should take it serious.